30 seconds of continuous super maximal, and then they rested for 4 minutes. What's that work to rest ratio? 1 to 8. But what they used was recovery. And then they repeated that 4 to 6 times. So if I do 30 seconds, 4 to 6 times, what's the total amount of work that I'm doing? 2 to 3 minutes. I rested for 4 minutes. So what's my total recovery time?
24.
Here you are. We're telling people you could do a 2 to 3 minute load with a 16 to 24 minute recovery. The other group did steady state exercise at 65% for up to 90 minutes. They looked at their power. They looked at their oxygen consumption. They looked at their muscle buffering capacity on lactate and muscle glycogen sparing. The results were mind-boggling. In every group, the short intermittent was equal to the continuous steady state. And actually in power and oxygen, the short intermittent was better, was significantly better. So if you were looking for more cardiac power, if you were looking for a more efficient oxygen consumption system, if you were looking for an improved muscle buffering system and glycogen storing or sparing system, you get as much, if not more benefit out of going above threshold for a short period of time with a full recovery as you do hitting the road for 90 minutes at a low intensity steady state. With the slide that I just presented on hormones, does that kind of make sense or not make sense?
The recovery is still at 60 to 65%.
Did you hear that?
Yeah. Yes, it was, mate. Yep. Yes, it was. So, when we look at...
Scott, how about calories burned?
They didn't measure it. I could go back and have a look. It might be in the paper, but I don't know. Because even then, you know, there's the acute versus chronic, right? You're looking at the expenditure during versus the epoch. And if I've actually got, you know, several hundred studies on epoch on my computer, and I can tell you, you probably know, right, that when you look at high intensity exercise, the afterburn is significantly more than low intensity. So I would expect to find in there that the acute phase was in favor of the steady state, but the post was in favor of the high intensity. I've got no doubt that's probably what they found. So that was a direct comparison. There's multiple papers on this, looking at high intensity short duration, low intensity long duration. We're starting to see, wow, it may be more beneficial to do less work and harder. The study below it is Bogarts et al., 2009. This was insane. It's very passionate to me, vibration training. This was people doing strength exercises on a vibrating platform. In this case, on the power plate. They did 15 to 20 minutes. Squat, lunge, push-up, row, plank. Done. Versus a fitness group that did stretching, strength training, and cardiovascular training for 60 to 90 minutes. So you got one group using vibration training, 15 to 20 minutes. You got a second group doing flexibility, strength, cardio as separate components in one training unit, 60 to 90 minutes. And they measured strength, they measured flexibility, and they measured VO2 max. Static and dynamic strength were comparable in both groups, went up about 10%. Flexibility was more significant in vibration training. This is the one that blew me away. Because I knew from my 7 years of doing education and research in vibration that strength and flexibility would be more favorable in vibration. I knew that. This is the bit that blew me away. There was a 21% increase in the VO2 max of the fitness group. 21%. 21%. Pretty high increase. There was a 19.5% increase in the VO2 max of the group that only did strength training with vibration. Can you believe that? That someone who just did strength training for 15 to 20 minutes, 3 times a week using vibration, got an almost comparable increase of 20% in their VO2 max. Now go back to the first slide when I talked about training components. What does that do to our training component model right there? The idea that for VO2 max, you've got to do cardio training. What does this study do for us straight away? Thank you. It changes our paradigm of what movement is. The organs in the body are subservient responders to stress. I could use vibration, I could use water, I could use air, I could use mass, I could use acceleration, ground reaction force, gravity, mass, momentum. I could use any stress I want and impose it on a movement pattern. The organs are going to respond to that. And what dictates the outcome are the acute variables. What was your intensity? What was your time under tension? What was the total load of work? Because they get different hormonal responses. The hormonal responses dictate all physiological change in the human body. I personally don't really mind what training component we use. If your goal was to say lose weight and burn fat, I need anabolic hormones. Cortisol doesn't do that. Cortisol can help you break down weight, but you know what it's going to break down? It's going to break down your muscle and bone. It ain't going to burn down fat. So if someone comes to me and says, I need to shift a lot of body fat, I already think in my mind, well, all that matters is I choose movement patterns that are appropriate for you, your likes, your level, your style, and I load them in a way that gets the right hormonal responses for that outcome. Which is why we stopped calling it cardio. We call it energy system development. It's the energy systems. And these energy systems have very directly correlated hormonal responses. And as it turns out, they respond to the same intensities and frequencies and time under tensions as our strength training. Is that surprising? I don't think so. We only have one system. We have one brain. We have one myofascial system, one nervous system. We have one cardiorespiratory system. I have no idea why we separate it from all other phases of training, from all other components of training. It's just movement under load. So you can download these. If you want them from me, give me a call. Easy to send them to Carl. But I think it's really important that we start rethinking, because we're still teaching things that we were taught 20 years ago. It's not that it was wrong. It was just incomplete. And as we back up our lens of what human movement is and how the body responds to a stress, and exercise is a stress, we have to now go back and plug that information into everything we do. If these energy systems respond to these acute variables to give me these hormonal responses, I need to make sure that that is one of the founding factors of all program design. Because people don't come to me to learn how to squat better. They don't come to me to learn how to get stride efficiency, turnover, leg length. That's not what they come to us for. They come to us for a measurable outcome that subjectively improves their quality of life. I need to be bigger, stronger, faster so that I get picked for this game. I need to lose weight so I don't feel rejection. I've got more self-esteem. Maybe I find a life partner. Whatever it is, you're looking for the measurable outcome. And the hormonal responses to exercise actually dictate the vast majority of those. It's not just how the body looks. For example, testosterone doesn't just help you to shift body fat. It helps the rate and force of muscle contraction. If your goal is to pull away from the pack as a triathlete on the hill, that's nothing to do with VO2 max. That's power output. And for power, I need to train you at an intensity that gets testosterone, because without testosterone, I can't make your muscles contract harder and faster. That's what testosterone does. So if you're training steady state, you're training cortisol. And cortisol doesn't help you get stronger and bigger and faster. So all we're trying to do is kind of create a little bit more awareness to how these hormonal responses affect the outcomes. So let's go a step further. Cardio is no more than the application of an energy system to a movement demand. That's it. And that's every training component. Flexibility is an energy system to a movement demand. Speed is an energy system to a movement demand.